Okay, so now we're going to add the last menu item to the menu. This time we want to add the menu item for the orders section, but we only want to do this under two conditions. First of all, well, that the user's logged on, and also that the user actually has orders in the database. So we're going to need to build and execute a SQL command. So up at the top of your page, you're going to have to import some new namespaces. So we're going to import system dot data and system.data.sql client, and these allow us to use the command and connection classes. Oh, system.data.sql client. Might have got that wrong. What is it? And one other one that we want to add in is the configuration. System.configuration. This is so we can access the connection string in our web config file. So I think that's everything that we need. Then we can scroll back down. And first thing we need to create is a connection class. So, or a connection object. So SQL connection, and name your connection. So I'm just going to call it con1. It's equal to new lowercase. We also need a command. We're also going to need a string. We're going to build up a SQL statement as well. You could do this using a stored procedure, but I'm just going to do this building a SQL string this time to show you another way. And now to begin, we're going to assign the connection string of our connection object to the connection string that's stored in our web config file. So the configuration manager I've forgotten how to do this. Hang on. So it's configuration manager dot connection strings. You could store more than one connection string in your web config file, so you need to pass it the value of the connection string you want to use. Now we've only got one. Just going to open up my web config file to show you where it's taking this from. Now my connection string is ASP.NET DB connection string. Yours might just simply be connection string. Check your web config file to see what name the connection string has. And then put it in here. And then that is the connection string retrieved from web config. Now we're going to need to start building up our command. So we'll build up our SQL first. So SQL statement is equal to, I'm just going to get the order ID from orders. Let's just check what I called the table in the database. Was it order or orders? Orders. And the field was order ID. So select order ID from orders where customer is equal to. Now we need to put in single quotes here so that when we build up our string, the value we're passing through is surrounded by single quotes. So single quote and then your double quote. And then we're going to pass through the current username. So we can do this by page.user.identity.name. .toString, and then finish off our SQL statement. So a single quote, no, double quote, and then a single quote and then a double quote, and that should be okay. Okay, so that's our SQL statement done. I had forgotten to put the brackets just around the toString method. That's our SQL statement built. Now, what I also forgot to do up here, which I'm just going to add now, is we only actually want to do this if the user is logged on. So what we're going to do is just add a little if statement up here. So if page.user.identity.is authenticated, then let's indent this a wee bit and then close our if statement. So we've built our SQL. Now we need to assign the command to the, well, first of all, let's assign the connection. cmd dot connection is equal to con. That's the connection setup. Now we need to assign the command text. And that's equal to SQL. If you were using a stored procedure, the command text would be the name of your stored procedure. You would also need to set the command property, command type, to a stored procedure, but we're not doing that in this case. If you want to, you can. But in this example, I'm using a SQL statement. So we've built our SQL statement, set our connection. We need to open the connection now. And now we're ready to process the command. So we're going to use the execute reader method of the command function to process our results. Now the results returned from the execute reader are in the format of a SQL data reader, so we need to set up a new command called SQL data reader. This basically just holds the results of the SQL statement. I'm going to call my dr is equal to cmd dot execute reader. Okay, so now what we're going to do is check, is there any rows returned from this? So if there's rows returned from this query, it means that the customer did have orders. So another if statement, so it's if dr.hasRows actually this isn't a method, this is just a property, so it's if dr.hasRows. Then what we want to do is we want to add the orders menu item to the menu. So just like before, we're going to create a new menu item. And I'm going to call it orders menu item, and this is equal to a new menu item. Then I'm going to set the name value and navigate URL. I keep saying name, but it's actually text. Set the text to whatever you like. And then we set the navigate URL. And we set this to be, again, just put in the tilde symbol followed the slash to indicate the root of the directory, and then the name of the page, which was vieworders.aspx. And that's our new menu item built up. All we need to do now is add it to our menu. So our menu is called site menu, and we want to add it by doing this. Site menu.items.add order menu. And this will now add the orders menu item to the navigational menu if a user is authenticated and if they have orders in the database. And that's that tutorial finished.